I need to get something off my chest. I've been wearing this same outfit now for over 12 years, and I have to be honest, I am just so sick of wearing this shirt, this hat, in every single video. So I'm not gonna stand here and whine about it. I'm gonna do something about it. We're just gonna say goodbye to the shirt today. There we go. That was so easy. It's gone. I feel so much better already. And you know what? This hat too. This stupid hat. I'm so sick of this hat. Now everyone can stop bothering me about wearing the same outfit every single video. Now that we've taken care of business, we're going to be learning about formal speech and informal speech today. The way you talk to someone in Korean is based on social hierarchy. The way you talk to someone will depend on this. The most important thing to consider is a person's age. Now, that is actually based on Korean age, or specifically what's known as 연 나이, just the year that someone was born. If someone is the same age as you or younger, typically, if you're close with them, you can speak casually. You can't just introduce yourself to someone, find out they're the same age as you or younger, and start speaking casually to them. That could be very rude. An exception might be much older people who know that they're way older than you and they're in a regular, casual, everyday situation. They're just going to speak casually to you. But otherwise, you want to be polite until you know that you don't have to be. And if someone's 1 year older than you even, you might never get to speak casually with them unless you agree that you're both going to speak casually to each other. And that can happen as a non-Korean with a Korean. It usually will not happen with two Korean people. So keep that in mind. The next thing you need to pay attention to is your relationship with them. Obviously, you're going to speak differently to someone who's your family member or someone who you're dating or you've married, your friends, your really close friends, a coworker, a stranger, your boss. All of these sort of different relationships will also dictate how you speak with someone. Typically, Koreans will speak casually to their own parents once they've reached about teenage years, but not everyone does that. Some people will still speak politely toward their parents. If you're dating someone, regardless of their age, you might have a different way that you speak. If you don't know how to talk with someone, ask. The next thing you need to pay attention to is work position. Is this an employee of yours? Are you the boss? Let's say you're a little older than another coworker. Because you're still coworkers, you're kind of on the same level. You still might speak politely with each other, even though you both work at the same company. These are other things you have to consider. And then finally, last but not least, is the situation you're in. Are you giving a speech? Are you just talking in private with someone? In which case, you can forget whatever rules you know, and you can just use whatever rules you and that person have. Like if a friend tells you, hey, speak casually to me, it actually means in private. It doesn't mean when you're in front of other people necessarily. So keep that in mind. And I have a whole course about this if you want to learn it in detail, master politeness level. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. That's enough for this. Okay, so what is informal speech? Well, informal speech is informal. It's not formal. In Korean, there is formal speech and there's informal speech. Now, there's also casual speech, but casual speech is technically informal because it's not formal. Typically, though, when someone says informal speech, they're not referring to casual speech. Usually you're referring to the speech that's still formal, but it's not formal, which is the yo form, because it's not formal. It's not casual, but it's not formal. Before we talk about the yo form, just because it's formal doesn't mean it's polite. And on the other hand, just because it's informal doesn't mean it's impolite. Even the yo form can be very polite. If it's used together with honorific speech, for example, if it's used in the right situations, it's very polite. Informal or formal speech is specifically about how much respect you're showing to the person that you are currently speaking to. It doesn't have to do with the person you're talking about. It's just how much respect is the speaker showing to the person that they are currently speaking to. That's formal versus informal. And that's different than honorific speech or humble speech. Humble speech and honorific speech are specifically showing more respect towards someone who you're talking about. Has no relation to who you're talking to. So these are for the person who you're speaking to. All right, so let's talk about using the yo form. The yo form is the most common way that a verb is conjugated at the end of a sentence. It's the most common way you're going to see. And we're not going to be reviewing how to conjugate the yo form in this lesson. The most important thing you can know about the yo form is actually, besides its conjugation, is how it feels when someone uses the yo form. Informal speech, so the yo form, has a soft feel. It has a respectful feel. So when you use it, no matter what you're saying, the feeling that you're giving is a soft and respectful feel. And this is important to know because it is different than the feeling when you use formal speech. Okay, we'll come back to this in a bit, but write this down. It has a soft, respectful feel. Because if you know this, you'll know when you should use it. The standard yule form, so nothing else added to it. Just 하다 becomes 해요. Just that, like just the regular yule form. This form is going to be polite in most situations, but not all, but it is going to be polite in most situations. You're not going to use the yule form when you're talking to friends who are the same age as you or younger because you're friends or close, but instead you will use the yule form when you're talking to older friends. So even if you made a friend in Korea, if they're 1 year older than you in Korean age, that doesn't mean you can speak casually to them because you're friends. As a non-Korean, they might prefer that you just speak casually to them because they want that, but you can't assume it. Not everyone's like that. I have some Korean friends who prefer I speak to them casually, and I've known other people who haven't mentioned that. They kind of feel like, no, it's cool. Like we're friends, but you can be like professional friends. You can have like a business friendship. You don't want to just assume you can speak casually with someone just because they're your friend. So ask them. So typically the younger friend will speak more politely and the older friend will speak more casually. In fact, even some couples might use the correct speech levels to each other. You know, the older person will speak casually and the younger person will speak politely. It's not the most common way it happens. So ask. And the regular yule form, you might think that it's going to be polite since it has a soft and respectful feel, but there's also something called honorific speech and humble speech that if it's not added onto your sentence, if it's not correctly attached, your sentences actually won't sound polite enough unless you're also using honorifics and humble speech when you're talking about someone else. But it's also anytime you're asking a question about someone. So if you're asking someone where the convenience store is, you could say, 편의점이 어디 있는지, do you know? This is a question, but technically talking about someone else by saying you know. So if you're asking a question to someone else directly, you would still use honorifics or humble speech or whatever because you're not talking about yourself. You're asking someone a question. So typically when you're using questions, the standard yule form might not be enough. 알아요? It has a soft, respectful feel, but it doesn't show respect toward the person you're talking about. So you might still add, you should add, honorific speech whenever you're talking about someone else. We don't have time to talk about all this in this lesson. Watch my separate live stream about honorific speech, or even just watch my beginner course. I also go over it in there. You would say 아세요, which is the honorific form, 세요, but it still is technically the yule form. So if you're asking questions to other people, or you're talking about someone else, including questions, just the yule form might not be polite enough. Formal speech. What is formal speech? Well, formal speech typically is used to refer to the form 니다. Or when you're asking a question, like 합니다, 합니까, 씁니다, 씁니까, like that. Now, a common misconception is that formal speech is only used in formal or only in official situations. That's not true. It's used everywhere. Now, we're not going to talk about every conjugation rule for this form because you can learn it a lot of places online. But really briefly, you take a verb stem. That's just the verb minus the ta at the end. So you take a verb stem, and if that verb stem ends with a vowel, you'll attach piup, this letter, and 니다. And if it ends with a consonant, then you'll attach 씁니다, 씁니다. So 씁니다, pronounced as 씀 with this letter, 미음, 씁니다. Or if this consonant happens to be this letter, the L letter, the lir, then you drop it and you attach this one. The other thing you need to know is that this is for statements. This is for saying something. If you want to make this into a question, instead of 니, 다, you use 니, 가. But the rules are the exact same. So 하다 becomes 니다, 합니다. And as a question, 합니까, 합니까. 먹다, to eat. The verb stem is 먹. 먹 ends in a consonant. 먹습니다. Or question, 먹습니까? 놀다, to hang out or to play, is 놀. It ends in a lir, so you remove it. You attach this. 놉니다, 놉니까. That's all there is to it. So the yule form had a soft, respectful feeling. Formal speech has a strong, respectful feeling. Is it softly being respectful or is it strongly being respectful? Because of this, these forms can sound as if you're speaking officially, but they don't have to. Just when someone's speaking officially, they want to sound strong and respectful. So because of that, it sounds like it's more respectful than the you form. So you're gonna hear this used whenever someone's making an official announcement or an official speech. That also includes if someone's writing a business letter. Like if you're writing a business letter to your customer. Now, you're not going to use this if you're writing a letter to your friends and if you're giving an announcement to your friends, because you don't need to sound strong and respectful when you're talking to your friends. You would just speak normally. You're probably going to hear this when you're meeting your new boss or meeting a new teacher for the very first time, as well as if you're meeting parents-in-law for the very first time. Anyone that you want to impress. Another situation is in the Korean army. That's because of rules that they have in the Korean army that you have to speak formally because they just want to have everyone on the same page. And another common situation that many people forget, not just the army, but any sort of social worker, you might want to speak like this to them. Doesn't mean you have to. Strangers as well. You don't have to, but if you want to give that sort of strong, respectful feel when you're talking to someone, you might want to use it. There are a lot of expressions that are technically made with formal speech, but people don't consider them to be formal. They just consider them to be the basic level of polite. And in fact, if you don't use their formal versions, it sounds impolite if it's a situation where you should be polite. So these are expressions that, although, yeah, they're formal, they're not considered to be part of the regular formal speech. You use them anytime you want to be polite. And there are several of these. If you're apologizing to your friend, you don't need 죄송합니다 because you don't need to be extra polite to your friend. 죄송합니다. I'm sorry. It sounds polite. 만나서 반갑습니다. Nice to meet you. If you were to meet your new boss, 만나서 반가워요. Don't do it. It sounds like you're not sincere. Like it's polite if you're meeting someone who seems to be the same age as you. Anytime you need to be polite, 만나서 반갑습니다. 잘 먹겠습니다. Before you eat something, someone else you don't know very well buys you food. 잘 먹겠습니다. Thank you for the food. And then after you finished eating, 잘 먹었습니다. Thanks for the food. Same thing. And then one more really common expression, 생일 축하합니다. You would not use 생일 축하해요 unless you're already well acquainted. 생일 축하합니다. So anytime you need to be polite at all, use the full formal version of these expressions. I mentioned this briefly with the you form, but you can also add honorific speech to formal speech as well, not only informal speech. Like 하다, you could have like 하세요 for the you form, but you can also have it with formal speech. 하시 is what you normally get, 하시다. So you get the verb stem. It ends with a vowel, so you attach this. 하십니다 or 하십니까. Now you can have honorific speech added to your formal speech. If you're speaking to someone who you want to sound strong and respectful toward, but you're speaking about someone else who you want to show extra respect toward, then you can do this. Really quickly, I want to go over future tense and past tense formal speech. So there are two ways to make the future tense with formal speech. The first one is by using the standard 것이다 future tense form, like 할 거야, 할 거예요. How do you do it? Well, this 이다, you just conjugate it to formal speech. So you get 입니다, right? Or this is commonly cut out when you're using it for conjugation. It's the same thing with 할 거야. It's not 할 것이야, but you can just do 할 거야. So the same thing here. 할 겁니다. 먹을 for 먹다, to eat. 먹을 겁니다. So 겁니다 is a common future tense version of this form. But there's a second one, and that is the 겠다 ending. All you do is you take a verb stem. There are no exceptions to this. You just attach 겠다 and then you conjugate this. So this will be 겠습니다. When it's used with formal speech, it's 겠습니다 or 겠습니까 for a question. And that's all. So what's the difference between 겠다 and 것이다? Well, there are a few differences, but the main difference is that this 겠다 form is more formal sounding. When you're saying, I will do something, and you're using the 겠다 form, most of the time, it's going to become 겠습니다. You're not going to see 겠어요 with you form very much if it's being used as the future tense. Now, there's another usage for this, which we're not going to cover today, to mean would, like it must be, or I'm sure it would be, that must have been difficult, that would be hard. If it's used for would, it can be used with any of these. But if you're using it for the future tense, not always, but almost always, it will be 겠습니다 or 겠습니까, as is. Past tense is really simple. You also have two options. If you're familiar with it, you can also use the past tense 것이다 form. For example, 하다 would become 한 거예요 or 한 거야, like that. You can say 한 것입니다 or just 한 겁니다. Exactly the same. So 한 거야, 한 겁니다. Past tense formal speech. Or you get the past tense verb stem and you attach 씁니다. 하다, the normal past tense, is that as soon as you get to these letters, you have the past tense stem. So 했어요, for example. 했어요, 했습니다, you're done. There are no rules you need to learn because when you have this, you've already applied any conjugation rules already. 했습니다, 했습니까? That's it. Now let's talk about one more thing, and that is mixing informal speech and formal speech, because you can commonly mix informal speech with informal speech. If you are in a situation where you're using formal speech, you don't need to constantly convey a strong, respectful feel the entire conversation. With exceptions, if you're giving like an official speech, you probably would always keep that feeling up. If you're writing an official business letter to your customers, you probably would keep it formal the whole way through. But if you're in a situation where you normally would speak formally with someone, you don't want to keep that tension high, that strong, respectful feel the entire conversation, right? Because it just sounds a little bit stiff. So often you'll hear people speaking, they'll drop their formality for some parts because they don't want the entire thing to sound really stiff. They want it to sound respectful and strong, but sometimes a little soft. And when someone's speaking just the Yule form, you might hear them break and suddenly get a little bit more strong because they want to be extra respectful when they say something. So if you hear them getting mixed, it only has to do with that feeling that I talked about. The Yule form is like a regular soft feeling, sounds soft. And the nida or nika endings have a strong feeling to them. So yeah, only using formal speech if you're speaking formally can sound a bit too stiff. So it's fine to mix formal and informal speech together at different amounts, depending on whatever feel you want. But again, if it's a very official situation, you probably wouldn't mix it. And if you want to learn more about politeness levels, all of the politeness levels, I have a full course called Master Politeness Levels, which is 24 episodes. It's free. It's on my channel. You can watch it right now. And that goes into detail about literally everything. Okay, so that is our lesson for today. Thank you everyone for coming, and I'll see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.